There have always been angry mobs, but now there's a new kind, online mobs. They can be vicious too.
Economics is complicated.
One such mob recently came for Harold Uhlig, head of a top economics journal. The mob attacked Uhlig, says writer Robby Soave, because
he thinks defund the police is an unhelpful slogan.
Uhlig had posted this tweet which said, "Too bad. Black Lives Matter just torpedoed itself with its support of defund the police."
You'd think that would be fine for a public intellectual to weigh in on that issue in that way. There was nothing racist or discriminatory in how he said it. And yet, some of the biggest names in the profession have called for him to lose this position.
Hundreds signed a petition demanding that.
Because he has some different views from the protesters, he must be a racist.
Uhlig was placed on leave from the journal he ran. The mob even attacks its fellow Democrats. This analyst at a Democratic polling firm tweeted about a study that concluded riots reduce the share of Democratic votes.
I would think the rioting does hurt their cause.
That sort of behavior makes people fearful.
So all this young man does is tweet an article that's obviously true, and he gets fired?
Activists who don't want there to be any criticism tagged the employer and said, like, come get your boy. Within days, this public polling firm guy was let go from the position.
Come get your boy. It sounds creepy.
There's a cruel streak in activism that says if you disagree with me, not only should you have no right to speak, but you're harming me. You're making me unsafe.
Oh my! Holy Katai!
A Major League Soccer team fired a player after his wife made racist posts. The editor of Bon Appetit resigned because one Halloween 16 years ago, he dressed like this. Staff members called this deeply offensive.
Why are they winning? Their argument is ridiculous.
Because people are afraid to challenge them. It just takes one employee at one company to say, well, here is the law that protects my right to feel safe and comfortable in this workplace. If you're not making me feel safe and comfortable, then I'm going to get you in trouble. I might even sue you.
And these cowardly corporations give in. Fire the people.
You protect yourself from some risks, from some liability, if you just give the loudest voice in the room, the squeakiest wheel, exactly what they want.
At CrossFit, the fitness company, CEO Greg Glassman was asked why he hadn't issued a statement about George Floyd. He answered, "Why should we mourn George Floyd other than it's the white thing to do?" Within a week, he was gone from the company.
Yes, a few CEOs have lost their jobs, but they have the money. By and large, they have the power. We white people have the power.
Well, of course, white people historically have benefited tremendously from their race.
So why should we listen to people like you? You're a white guy who grew up in the suburbs.
Yes, I have tremendous amount of privilege. I've lived a very lucky life. I think I should be able to point out the inconsistencies.
Growing accusations of transphobia.
The cancel culture has moved beyond the U.S.
J.K. Rowling has been criticized recently for her comments about transgender identity.
In England, after this woman was fired for saying merely identifying as a woman doesn't make a person a woman.
Anything you couldn't explain?
Harry Potter author Rowling defended her, tweeting, "Force women out of their jobs for stating sex is real?"
Outraged with a series of controversial tweets.
That made Rowling a target.
J.K. Rowling, silencio, you cruel rich dick.
But Rowling didn't back down. She said, it isn't hate to speak the truth. Then she mocked a charity for using the phrase, people who menstruate instead of women. She tweeted,
"I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wumban, wimpund, woomud."
People called her tweets
Cruel and inaccurate.
Some staff at her publisher called her transphobic and refused to work on her next book.
Don't give J.K. Rowling any of your money. Stop buying the books.
But Rowling's the rare person popular enough to be able to resist the mob. Her publisher stood up for her, saying freedom of speech is the cornerstone of publishing. That's how all these cases should be handled. And finally, one other piece of good news. Economic professor Harold Uhlig, who lost his post after he was smeared by people like Paul Krugman. While we worked on this video, the University of Chicago announced it had investigated and there was no basis for taking his job. Harold Uhlig has his editorship back.
The solution is to challenge these people. You just have to speak up.
Do you like these videos? Please help us make more. Press that button.